Welcome to the PEARRM Services YouTube channel. Please be sure to like and subscribe and stay tuned for weekly updates. Welcome to this week's topic, the importance of communicating with employees using different methods. It is clear that communication is key to the employee-leader relationship. And it's also clear that it's important to communicate with employees and keep them informed during difficult times, but during all times. Delivering information clearly and timely to employees is key to ensuring that employees stay informed and that information that is most relevant reach the employees. Encouraging and engaging in two-way dialogue is also important to the strength of an employee-leader relationship. And also important is the method of communication and being able to reach employees at the right time and via a method that works well for the employee. Most important, leaders should always communicate with employees. Let's focus on the method. Communication is not a one-size-fits-all. And even in an organization where there are more employees who use a computer on a regular basis, it is important that leaders find creative ways to communicate with employees. 1, if leaders are always communicating with employees via the same method, it could get boring and employees could get to the point of zoning out the communication. For example, using newsletters only to communicate key information and not changing the format of the newsletter from time to time could cause employee to not review the newsletter at all or skim the newsletter versus really honing in on what the message is that the leader intended to share. 2, communicating via or electronic methods only can also cause employees to zone out the information. Employees who spend a lot of time already on electronic methods might find it not as conducive to continue to gather information that way. 3, using face-to-face communication only could also result in an employee not grasping the information. Many leaders use one-on-one meetings or team meetings to communicate information to their employees. And if the leader is not skillful about delivering the message in a way that engages the employees and asks the employee for feedback right away, that could result in the employee not receiving the information that the leader intended to deliver. Therefore, I recommend that leaders find creative ways to share information. I recommend that leaders certainly provide information in written format. 1, it's good to have a paper trail. It's good to have that timestamp to be able to go back to the information. And the written information is usually the one with the most detail. For those employees who love to dive into the details, that's a great way for them to receive the communication that the leader is intended to share. The other method that I enjoy is verbal. Whether verbal communication via one-on-one, team meeting, or via a podcast, I encourage leaders to use verbal communication to share big topics. It's important that when the verbal communication is being used, it's in bite size. Having a long, drawn-out dialogue about a topic could lose an employee. I encourage leaders to start off with something that is considered to be personal or to grab the attention of the employee, and then very quickly, in a 2 to 5 minute period, share the topic that is intended. In that verbal communication, I also encourage leaders to point the employee back to the written communication so they can find additional details there. The other way that I encourage leaders to communicate is to provide visual whenever possible. So whether that is including a link in the verbal communication that takes the employee to a YouTube video or takes the employee to a PowerPoint that has graphics, I encourage leaders to incorporate that in communicating, again, to give employees, based on their learning style, different ways to capture the information. Thank you for listening to this week's topic, and I look forward to connecting with you next week on the next leadership topic.